Hello, everyone. I hope you're enjoying this special online event today, and I appreciate that you're able to join me. My name is Chambers, and today I'll be taking you through FL Studio 20. I have so many cool things to show you. We'll be going over the great stock instruments that FL Studio has to offer you, plugins such as Flex, Sytrus, and Harmor, which are all incredibly powerful synthesizers. I'll show you how to use them, the features they have, the amazing presets they have, and I'll even show you how you can use them to make music that sounds like this. After showing you the instruments, we'll go over the many effects FL Studio has to offer. I'm talking about delays, reverbs, choruses, and so much more. We'll use these effects to spice up a boring track and make it sound more interesting. Because why sound like this when you can sound like that? So join me today as we explore the magic of FL Studio 20 and the great stock plugins it has to offer. Okay, so here we are in the playlist of FL Studio 20. So if we want to add an instrument, all we have to do is go up here and click on the channel rack. In the channel rack, you'll be able to add all the VST instruments that you'd like and even program drums. There's many different ways that you can add a stock instrument in FL. For example, I can right click right here, hit replace, and here's our wide selection of instruments and synthesizers to choose from. So as I mentioned earlier, today we're going to be exploring Flex, Sytrus, and Harmor. So to find Flex, we just go over here into Synth Classic, click on Flex. Now another way to add a plugin, say we wanted to add Sytrus, we can come over here and hit the plus button, go down to Synth Classic again and hit Sytrus. And one last way we can add an instrument, say if we wanted to add Harmor, you can even go up here and hit add. This time we'll find Harmor right here. So let's start out with Flex, one of my favorite stock instruments in FL Studio 20. Let's go through some of the presets, which can be found over here on your left side. Very nice arpeggio right there. All the way on the left column over here, it says installed packs. Each of these different titles right here are different packs that contain a bunch of presets for you to use. So this one is called Arc Sun Cityscape, and we just auditioned some of the presets. We have one for pianos over here. You have one for strings. Or maybe a brass hit. And it's not only synthesizers and real instruments, we also even have drum sounds such as 808s. And then if you scroll down over here, these are all a bunch of different packs that you're able to download for free to add to your library. But with so many presets, Flex makes it very easy for you to find exactly what you need, bringing us to the tag section. If we click down here on tags, we're able to find exactly what you want. You can select a type and style of preset, and Flex will sort it out and get you the sound that you're looking for. Let's say I wanted a keys sound. I can click on keys, and now it has sorted out all of the keys in this specific pack, and it will do it for each and every pack that you want. So here's what it came up with. All different key sounds. Maybe you want a bell. So we would just click on keys to deselect it and click on bell to select it. Now we have our bell sounds right here. Maybe if you don't want to search by type, you can search by style. For example, let's look for something dark. And it will sort it by style. So this is great if you need to work quickly and you need to find a preset fast. You just head to the tag section, search what you need, and Flex has got it for you. So now let's get into some of the parameters that Flex has to offer. We can hide the preset menu by hitting the arrow down here, so we can just focus on the parameters. So in the top left, we have an amazing analysis window in which we can observe the audio waveforms or harmonics of the audio. We have it on waveform view. Now we can see the harmonics. This is for the stereo imaging of the sound. And this will show you the frequencies of the sound. Not many plugins allow you to analyze the sound visually, so this is another reason I love to use Flex. And here's a little secret about Flex, so don't tell anyone. If you double click on the square right here, you can change the skin. Heading over into the macros section, you have these different parameters that operate different parts of the sound. If you need to tweak the filter, vibrato, add some character, add some color to it. Reverb, it's right here for you. Delay too. So these parameters are extremely helpful if you need to work quickly because they're just right here. If you want to get more detailed into your sound design, you can head to the parameters underneath. We have a pitch, cutoff filter, resonance knob, and you can even control the filter envelope with this knob right here. Moving on to the envelope section, you see A, H, D, S, and R. That stands for attack, hold, decay, sustain, and release. If we wanted to increase the attack of this key sound and make it sound more like a pad, we just turn the knob up. Or back down for a more clicky sound. And as I just said, you can also control the filter cutoff with the envelope. Going to the next section, if you need quick effects, Flex has built-in delay and reverb settings. You can easily access the mix knob and control parameters such as the feedback or the color of the delay or the decay and the size of the reverb. And one of the best parts about all of this, every single parameter that we just touched upon, you can control through automation. It's so simple. Just right click on the parameter that you want to automate, scroll down to create automation clip and click it. Then in our playlist section, we have an automation clip created, which we can edit however we would like to. So this would be automating the filter cutoff of the sound. Let's make a quick pattern so I can show you the automation. So I can adjust the automation to make it like this. So we have a quick stab, and you can see the automation move on the parameter within the plugin. Look at the cutoff knob right here. So you can automate whichever parameter that you'd like, whether it's the attack, whether it's the reverb or the delay. There's no limits to Flex. Moving on to our next stock instrument in FL Studio, we have Sytrus. I can always rely on Sytrus to give me the great sound that I'm looking for because of all of the presets it offers. Look at this incredible menu. We have arpeggios, bass, bell, chromatic instruments, drums. From guitars to pads to pianos to synths to leads. Anything you need, it's all in this menu. So let's listen to a few of these presets. Bass. There's some great pads as well. Very creative, different type of sounds. So if we look into the main window, you're going to see a few features that are similar to Flex. For example, the volume and the filter envelopes, like the attack. You have a quick EQ menu right here in case you need to cut out lows and highs real quick. Get a nice filter sound. And this modulation diagram. So just in the main window, you can get very creative with the sounds that you want to create or tweak. We have different operator menus that will show you a visual representation of the sound that you were creating. If we look in this window right here, as we move the shape parameter, you can see and hear how the sound is changing. And below that, we have several menus such as panning, volume modulation, pitch, phase. These menus will allow you to change the functionality of an envelope, whether you want it to be a straight line or a curved line. You can click in points all over the place to truly shape the sound that you want. Then moving on, we have the FX tab. And now here, once again, we see built-in delay and reverb for easy use. So if I click D1, we have delay right here. And there are 3 different delays available to choose from, as well as the reverb here, which gives you a ton of control. So to compare these 2 plugins, Flex is simple and it's easy if you need something on the go because of the extensive preset menu and the simple parameters. Sytrus is great if you want to get more detailed into your sound design because it really lets you go in and control each and every step of creating a sound. But still, if you need to grab a sound pretty quickly, you can just go into the preset menu, and Sytrus has a ton of presets for you to choose from. And now let's move on to the last instrument that we'll be talking about today, which is called Harmor. So here's the interface for Harmor. As you can see, we have a ton of options for sound design and tweaking your sound. And I especially love this plugin because of the creative freedom it allows you to have. So when I first started learning sound design, I found myself in this plugin a lot because I would tweak all the knobs and listen to all the changes it made with the sounds. And that's a way that I learned. So let's go through some of the presets that Harmor has to offer. Maybe you want a very synthy ARP, maybe a light bell, and it even has cool cinematic effects to it like this. Very cool. The keys are great. So whether you want to be technical and detailed and tweak specific parameters, or just come in here to mess around with the knobs and see what you can make, Harmor is definitely a great synthesizer in FL Studio 20. Let's see what some of the parameters do. Cool filter right there. And I really like the little tab section that we have over here so we can change what we want to look at. For example, the FX tab, we have built-in distortion, chorus, delay, and reverb, as well as compression. Each of the FX come with their own presets. There's a little drop-down menu right here. That's pretty cool for on-the-go effects. And another secret I love about Harmor is the visual aspect. If we click this menu to the right, you can visually see the sounds that you're creating based on the harmonics. So if we're having a higher note, we're going to be somewhere around up here. But lower notes, we're going to be lower. Let's try it with a different preset. And see how you can even see the pitch bend when the line curves. But yeah, so those are some of my favorite stock instruments in FL Studio. Now it's time for the fun part. Let's actually make some music using these instruments. So to start off, let's head into Flex. I'm thinking I'm going to want a key sound. So let's open up the preset menu. We can go into the tags section, and for type, let's select keys. I like this one. So let's head into the piano roll, and let's start up with a simple chord progression. Pitch it up a few semitones. I want to add an arpeggio this time. So what I can do is right click and clone it. Now let's look for arpeggio. I like this one a lot. If I head back into our chord progression, I can highlight it, copy it, switch to our arpeggio plugin, and then paste the same pattern. Now the arpeggio is in. Moving on, let's move into Sytrus this time. Let's get a pad preset. So if I go into pad, I like this one a lot. So let's see, let's go into Sytrus and let's hit paste for this too. So now we have our keys, arpeggio, and pad. It's time to add a melody. Let's head into Harmor. I'm going to go into the keyboard section and grab Moonlight EP. Very nice dreamy key sound. And now for the final part, let's add a synth bass. So let's clone Sytrus. Let's go into our bass presets. That was nice. Now let's draw in the bass pattern. Quick shortcut, hit Control L, and that will connect the notes for you. Then hit Control and the down arrow to bring it down an octave. So yeah, those are a few of the great stock instrument plugins FL Studio 20 has to offer. Flex, Sytrus, and Harmor, my go-tos. So moving on from here, let's look into the stock effects FL Studio comes with. Alright, so effects in FL Studio. I just made a new example of some music that we're going to be working with today. Here's what it sounds like dry before we even add any effects. So it's not bad, but it's kind of boring. There's not really an atmosphere to it. So for the music, I did some chords with Flex. I did some keys with Flex. There's a cool Sytrus marimba sound and the Sytrus bass. So let's link all of these sounds into the mixer. I'm going to double click this top bar. Let's go into the mixer, go to Insert 1 and right click. Hit Channel Routing and hit Route Selected Channels starting from this track. Now as you can see, all of our instruments are loaded into the mixer. And the mixer insert that they have here correlates to the number in the channel rack. So if Flex Chords is Insert 1, you're going to see 1 right here in the channel rack. The Flex Keys is Channel 2, so it's Insert 2 on the mixer. And I can solo these instruments by right-clicking on the green dot. Alright, so let's get started. I'm going to start out with the Flex Chords. It definitely needs some more reverb, some more space, and some more ambience to it. And just like when we were adding in instruments, we can also add in effects. You want to head to your right side of the screen, click on slot 1. As you can see, there's 10 slots here for you. And here are the effects in FL Studio. So if I want a reverb, I'm going to head up here where it says delay and reverb, and it's all sorted out for us. I'm going to grab the stock plugin Fruity Reverb 2, definitely a go-to of mine for reverb. So let's hear what it sounds like now without tweaking the plugin. Big difference, definitely more spacious. So let's start to mess around with the parameters within the plugin. We have low cut and high cut. Let's cut out some of the low frequencies in the reverb. We also have high cut, so we can cut out the high frequencies of the reverb. From that into this. We have our decay knob right here to control how long we want the reverb to decay for. You can also alter the size of the reverb with the size knob. So we're in a very small room. One of the best things about this plugin is the visual representation of the reverb settings. That really helps you to understand what you're doing to the sound. So if the size is all the way down, look at the diagram right here. It's a very small room, but as we increase it, this is what our reverb is looking like right now. A much bigger room. Let's say we mess around with the diffusion. Watch what happens to the image here. We get less and less walls in the room, causing different types of reflections. You could have the triangle, you could have four sides with a rectangle, all the way up to this circular image right here. And you can hear how it changes the sound. So that's by far one of my favorite features of this plugin. Over here on the right tab, we have the dry and wet levels, as well as an early reflection parameter. Full wet level sounds like this. So you can tweak those parameters around however you want. Maybe you want a really wet sound, or maybe you just want a tiny bit of reverb. And a great way to make your reverb sound much more wide is in Fruity Reverb 2, we have this stereo separation parameter. If I move it all the way to the right, the reverb is in mono. But if we add it to the left, it widens out the sound. So that's a great way to stereo image your reverbs. So now let's get the settings the way I want it for the song. make it pretty wide. So that's reverb, but let's not stop there. Now I want to add delay. Let's head back into our slot section and go to delay and reverb again. This time let's add fruity delay 3. Let's see what happens as we increase the wet level. It adds delay, but there's so many different settings to change the way you want to hear it. So let's start with delay model. You want to hear the delay in mono, you go up here. Now it's in mono or stereo. And the stereo parameter will allow you to affect how wide or how narrow you want that stereo sound to be. With ping pong mode, you're going to hear it from your left to your right ear. So right now you can't really hear it, but as you adjust the pan knob, you're going to hear more of a distance between the left and the right. That's another great way to make your effects sound more wide. Heading to the delay time section, here we can control the timing of the delay. Whether you want it to be locked onto the tempo or not, it gives you all those options. So right now we're at 149 BPM. With tempo sync on, it's going to stay on that beat. I can adjust the time right here. If we want a quicker delay, let's decrease the time. If we increase the time, there's not going to be as much delay. And if we increase it even more, there's going to be even less. So for this song, I'm going to keep it right here. Not too much and not too little. Alright, so far we've chosen the type of delay that we want, which is ping pong. We've made it wide and we've chosen the time. Wouldn't it be awesome if we could actually tweak the sonics of the delay itself? Let's head over into the feedback section where we can control what the delay sounds like. So let's start out with the filters. We could have a low pass filter, a high pass filter, a band pass filter, or no filter at all. So with the low pass filter on, it sounds like this. And you can hear as we move that cutoff back, it starts to cut out more of those higher frequencies. Now let's try out the high pass filter. As we move the cutoff filter back this time, the sound becomes thicker. You know, we start out with absolutely no low end in it. And as we move it back, it becomes more of a fuller sound. Bandpass filter. So with the bandpass, you're cutting out both the lows and the highs, so it's really more of a mid-frequency delay sound. I'll leave it at low pass for this song. Now we can further tweak our feedback by adding distortion if you want. So down here it says feedback distortion. Let's put the level up to start to hear it. And you can hear how that feedback delay sound is getting more distorted and more crunched up. And that could be a really cool sound design trick, just to add some more bite to the sound. Then even if you want to EQ the delay sound, we have a tone knob right here. The more you put it to the left, the less higher frequency it is. The more to the right, the more you're accenting and enhancing those higher frequencies. So yeah, I'm happy with the way that came out. Let's hear before and after. Here's the dry signal. And then we added reverb and delay. Much more interesting to listen to, you know what I mean? Moving on, we have the key sound. So this time I want to make this sound more wide. Let's add a chorus sound to it. If I go to fruity chorus right here, let's listen to it on full mix level. It's a very cool wide chorus sound. Now if you don't want too much, another way to decrease the mix level or the wet level of the effect is to head over to the slot and decrease the parameter right here. This is your mix level for the effect. And just like with all of the instruments we went over, you can automate each and every one of these parameters. So if you want to automate the mix level, that's possible. Even if you want to automate the bypassing of the effect, you can right click on the green dot right there and automate it so it can turn on and off whenever you want. So now it's wide, but it's still dry, you know? So let's add some reverb to it. Fruity Reverb 2. Add to that mix level and the stereo separation. And we have a wider sound. Let's add some decay. So here's before and now after. Moving on, we have a marimba sound. Let's see how I can make this more interesting. Let's add an effect. This time, let's do a flanger. I love this plugin right here. Gives it a special flanger type of sound. Let's decrease the mix level. Let's make it a bigger sound and add some delay to it. This time, I'll go into Fruity Delay 2. So Fruity Delay 3 is the older brother of Fruity Delay 2, but sometimes I like to use Delay 2 as well. So let's see. We have our same time knob right here and our options right here. Let's put it on ping pong and pan it over to make it more wide. And if I lower the input volume, we can lower the sound of the delay. Very nice. Next, let's add some more reverb to it. Let's make it a big room size. And I'm also going to change the amount of walls in the room with the diffusion knob. And that gives it a really cool sound. So again, here's before. Pretty dry sound after. Lastly, let's move on to the bass. I don't think I ever put reverb or delay on the bass, but I do have some cool effects that I love to use. Let's go into the distortion section and add Fruity Fast Distortion. And you can hear how much bite this distortion just gave the bass. Let's lower the mix level. We can lower the threshold, and that will lessen the effect. Threshold all the way up, more distortion. And we also have a little preamp right here if you want to add even more energy to it. And then we have a post gain right here to control the volume going out. So we can really beef up the bass, or if you have an 808, this is great to put on it. And another great distortion / saturation plugin that I love to use in FL Studio, Fruity Wave Shaper. Very simple. There's just one knob right here. You can move it up, and that will increase the saturation of the bass. Or have less. And again, I love to put this on 808s. So here's before. Then after adding saturation and distortion, we have this. So now let's listen to everything, the before and the after. Now let's add the effects and spice it up. It sounds so much better. There's more space, there's more ambience and width to it, and it just doesn't sound boring anymore. But yeah, those are all stock plugins that come with FL Studio 20 for the effects section. And just a quick recap, remember we looked at Flex, we looked at Sytrus, we looked at Harmor, which are just a few of the amazing stock instruments FL Studio 20 has to offer. For effects, we looked at the reverbs, the delays, the choruses, the flangers, distortion, and saturation. And remember, all of these are stock and included in FL Studio 20. But again, thank you all for learning about the stock plugins of FL Studio 20 with me today. I appreciate you all watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the online event. My name is Chambers, I'm with FL Studio, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.